The next thing I thought I'd chat about is metronomes. Metronomes are something that are either loved or hated. Many seasoned players hate them, and a lot of new players hate them too, but they're a useful tool. And what I notice is most people use a metronome on their phone, like an app. And some of them hook it up to a Bluetooth speaker at a band practice so a larger group can hear it, because the volume of the phone speaker is not loud enough. But I'm not really a big fan of those types of metronomes because there isn't enough of a visual component. What I mean by that is, if you have a beat that comes out of a phone, you visually have no guidance as to when the next beat is coming. It's just on a phone. You can imagine when the next beat's coming, but when there's a large group of people and there's one Bluetooth speaker just clicking away, people don't really know exactly when that next beat is coming. So sometimes it can be counterproductive. So some of the apps do have a strobe or little sequencing bars that kind of give you guidance when the next beat's coming, but I don't find those to be very effective. So this is why I'm like the old school. These old metronomes, you see them on top of pianos or in music schools. But what I like about this, it's simple, and there's a visual component to this, that even if you cannot hear this at a band practice, you're across the table and you can't quite hear the click, you can visually see where the beat is and when the next beat is coming. Because every time this pendulum crosses the center, that's when the click happens. So that you can visually see from across the table. So if I turn the volume off right now, you could play to this metronome because you can visually see every time it passes the center, that's where the beat is. And why I think this is important is when you're competing, your visual cues are the pipe major's fingers and his feet, because he can't be telling you where the beat is. He's visually showing you by tapping his foot. So even if the bass drummer and the drummers start losing the pipers, they're getting ahead or behind, they can visually look at the visual cue, which is the pipe major's foot, to get everybody back on track. So that's why I think the visual component is very important, and I find that less people get lost at a band practice on getting ahead of the beat or behind when you use something like this that physically shows you click, 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 when they can't even hear it. So that's the coolest thing about old school. There's not too many times that old school things are still superior to new school things, but in this case, I think this is it. But I rarely see this at any of the band practices I've been to in the last couple of years. Either this is too bulky, or it looks too old school, or it's too hard to read the numbers on the dial. But I really wish people would get back to using this. I think it's fantastic. So metronomes are pretty cool tools. Like, say you want to learn a jig and you want to make sure that you're nice and even with your G, D, E grace notes in that jig, you can kind of use something like this. So metronomes can be a really good guidance with any kind of tune. You can just put it up to twice or 4 times the actual tempo, and it'll give you the individual guidance on where to put your grace notes in a jig, especially a jig like this that has lots of GDs and E's in it. Well, that's my chat from the basement pub today. So it's Mike, the Toronto wedding piper, signing off. Have a great day, and if you want to try and like and subscribe, it'll let me know whether to keep talking to my phone or just talk to myself. Have a great day.